Good morning, Sunnie.
Good morning.
Sunnie, you've come to us, Sunnie Rucker-Chang from University of Cincinnati, all the way from the other side of the Atlantic to the ASN Europe conference here in Graz. And you were one of the participants at yesterday's book panel by Catherine Baker on her newest publication, Race and the Yugoslav Region. And you were there because you've dealt with a variety of issues, particularly questions of minority communities in Southeastern Europe, but also Central Europe and Eastern Europe. Sort of how has this kind of research that you've dealt with for years informed what you've said yesterday, and what have you been working on?
Okay, so I think that my research really combines with my personal experiences and thinking about minority communities and also applying race and post-coloniality to these populations in Southeast Europe. Sort of what I'm looking at is how these communities form a basis of belonging or frequently respond to the reactions of the majority communities that are trying to disassociate them from the nation. So with the Chinese population, I was more curious to find out why they were there, what they were doing there, but then also if they surface within cultural products. And so in my research, I'm always looking to cultural products to see how they're responding to ideas of the nation. And as it were with the Chinese population, they were within the films. And so what I did was try to unpack how they surface as a way of dealing with difference at the time of transition, which was relevant for the time that I was working on that research. I've also looked at Muslim communities within Bosnia and their relationship to Turkey and how neo-Ottomanism has spread throughout the region. So also looking at sort of regional affinities. And then my contemporary research that I'm working on, or actually finishing right now, is looking at African American communities and Romani communities. It's a co-authored project. So I'm looking at legal responses to the civil rights movement, but also then looking at the Romani rights movement as sort of parallel civil rights movements and looking at, well, my co-author's looking at federalism. I'm looking at then the cultural responses to the inclusion and integration of these minorities, primarily looking at in the US, the blaxploitation movement and the films that came after, and then within Southeast Europe and Central Europe, looking at the post-2004 or post-EU expansion films that position these minority communities and look at sort of the national identity that can be sort of what are the takeaways from the films as the minorities present themselves, and also looking at concepts of Americanism and Europeanism as sort of twin concepts and how minorities fit or do not fit within those concepts. If you allow me just one more minute, my next project that I'm actually going to be working on, I'm going to go on to research travel after this trip. My next project is Uses of Blackness in Yugoslavia, which then ties in directly or sort of parallel research with what Catherine is doing to look at the non-aligned movement, but also just how issues of blackness are fluid for some communities in Southeast Europe, but then fixed for others. And what has that looked like throughout the passage of time?
Well, that was an incredibly succinct and in the briefest of terms, overview of your really varied research interests, and all of them sort of informed yesterday's discussion.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to thank you for that and sort of for being part of this conference. You really made the discussion richer. Let me thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good time here in Graz. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and we hope to see you soon in Graz.
Thank you.
Thank you.